Hi and welcome to The Passionate Spinner. My name is Tracy and today is a bookish video. So earlier in the year, I decided to take all of my book content out of my longer podcast videos and have it separate so that people who are interested in reading can watch those videos separately, And today I thought I would talk a little bit about how I managed to read as much as I do because I just felt like it. I think that's a good reason to film a video because you feel like doing it. So I am actually right now on my way to do grocery shopping, which is also the reason why I decided to film this video now, because it is one of the ways that I am able to read. So I thought I would start the video now. I'm in my car on my way to do the grocery shopping, and I'm going to continue the video a little later today at home or tomorrow or whatever. But one of my tips is to incorporate reading or consuming books into your normal everyday life. And for me, that means that I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks. And I bought myself new headphones, which make this a little bit easier because that's the case. They're in here. They are not AirPods, but they are similar, small things. And I am listening to audiobooks on 1.4 times speed. And if you are an audiobook listener and you're listening in normal speed and you want to speed it up, don't jump to the number that you have in your head, like 1.5 times speed. There's people out there who listen to audiobooks in 3 times speed, which is mind-blowing to me. And I don't want to do that. It's not a competition. But sometimes when narrators read the book, they read a lot slower than I would read in my mind. So I just started listening to my audiobooks a little bit faster. So I started with 1.1 and it still sounded normal. So I did 1.2, still normal. I listened to that speed for a while and then I cranked it up to 1.3 and I'm now at 1.4 and I'm going to stay there. Because it still isn't like, it still is a normal speech pattern, and that's how I enjoy listening to it. So now, like I said before, I am going grocery shopping, which means that I'm going to wander around a supermarket for anywhere between half an hour and an hour, depending on how much stuff I need, how many people are there, how long is the waiting time at the cashier, all of those factors. But it still is at least half an hour where I have nothing else to do. So I'm going to listen to my audiobook because I'm not going to talk to someone. I am on my own. My kid is at home, and when he's with me, of course, I don't listen to an audiobook, but I'm alone right now. So I listen to my audiobook, and I also listen to my audiobook while I do house chores, like putting stuff away where it belongs, which I don't do as often as I should, but still, if I do that, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. I listen to my audiobook while I do the dishes, while I prepare dinner, while I bake, every time where my hands are busy, but my brain isn't, I listen to my audiobook. And of course, if I'm not actively taking care of the kid. So that will, it's small chunks. Sometimes it's only like 10 minutes while doing the dishwasher, but it's 10 minutes. And those 10-minute chunks, they add up quickly. So that is my number one tip, is incorporate your reading or your book consuming into your normal everyday life. For me, like I said, that's audiobooks. I have mainly listened to audiobooks. I would say like 2/3 of my consumed books this year were audiobooks, and the rest were physical books with like 3 ebooks in there. But I want to change that as well. And I'm going to talk about that in the next clip or one of these little snippets. So I'm going to do my shopping now, listen to my audiobook, and then I will continue this video with a few more tips once I am back home. I have arrived at the parking lot. Headphones are in, you can see, and oops. Now I'm ready to start listening. So I'm back home now, and I ended up listening to 45 minutes of my audiobook, which is amazing. That's 45 minutes that I didn't specifically sit down to read. And I still got it in. So that's amazing. So I said in the beginning of the video that I have been reading a lot this year. So as of yesterday, I read 72 books this year. It is November 21st. And for me, that is a huge number because I have so many other hobbies that I like to do. I knit and spin and do all of the textile things. And if you follow my channel, you know that. So, but that is also one thing that I like to combine. And right now I do that by listening to audiobooks while I sit down to spin mainly, or while I'm at the sewing machine. I also like to listen to an audiobook when I knit, but only when it's something where I don't have to really concentrate on the knitting pattern. So, not so much for knitting. I do like it, but it's just sometimes I'm not doing that. I also get a lot of my audiobook listening in while I have my studio open every Thursday and Friday morning. So I have the studio open on Thursday from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening, and on Friday from 9 to 12. That is a lot of hours that I spend listening to audiobooks. Not all the time, but get a good chunk of listening in when I'm alone in the studio. So that's also something where I incorporate the book into my actual just normal life. So I said before that I have not been reading a lot of ebooks, and I want to change that again. I have a stand that holds the ebook while I sit here in my beautiful chair, and I can knit and read at the same time. Now, I can, of course, only do that when the knitting pattern is easy. So it's like only stockinette stitch or garter stitch or easy rip pattern. And I want to do that again because I do miss reading. I have had 2 really bad reading months, and I'm not quite sure why. I have a suspicion, but I miss my books. I really do. I haven't been reading much this month. This month, I only managed to read 2 books, and I want to change that. So I have made a plan for the Advent time that starts on Sunday, because Sunday is the first Advent Sunday. And I want to do a phone cleanse in a way. I don't want to not have my phone, but I want to do a put it away time. And I decided that time will be 6 p.m. I will put my phone away for the rest of the day, and I will concentrate on my family, on playing board games, on watching a movie, and on reading. I want to spend at least 1 hour every evening in December reading, or in the Advent time. And I think I'm going to start that right now. Reading in the evening, not the phone cleanse. I'm not that strong. So that's what I did in August, by the way. August was my biggest reading month ever. I finished 17 books in that month alone. And I spent every free minute where I didn't take care of anyone or wasn't actively with my child, or, I spent every minute reading. And it was so good. I prioritized it for the summer. And I want to do it again for December, for the Advent time, because usually it's such a busy time and I want to slow down. So I want to read at least an hour every evening. And I also want to try and do some reading in the morning. Once my kid is off to school, before I start my work day, I want to read. So I'm trying to actively incorporate books back into my everyday life by getting rid of things that ultimately don't give me joy, which is the thing I'm holding in my hands right now. Because it leads to rabbit holes and time warps where you're just one more reel and one more and one more, and 3 hours later you realize you've been watching those stupid little videos for 3 hours, things like that. And I want to consciously not do that and spend that time reading instead. So I am compiling a list of books that I want to read. I'm not very good with TBRs because I'm such a mood reader. I can stack 2 books on top of each other and decide I want to read them one after the other, and I completely lose interest in book number 2 by the time I finish book 1. So I will not put together a TBR. What I have done is I pulled out the Christmas winter themed books that I have, and I want to read some of those. I have some Christmas romances and I want to read those. And I have a long list of Kindle Unlimited books, and it's also the next point that I wanted to talk about. Thankfully, I reminded myself with that. So yeah, I'm compiling a list of things that I want to get to in the month of December. And I'm going to try to read as many of those books. Now, Kindle Unlimited, that was one of the important points I wanted to make. I read 72 books this year, and reading can be a very expensive hobby and it can be a very cheap hobby. It depends on how you approach it. If you have a local library, that is great. I have a local library and I use it, but mainly for books for my child, because my preferred reading language, even though you cannot tell because everything behind me right now is German, but my preferred reading language is English. And I have lots of English books that I always get when I'm on holiday. And I cannot get them at my local library. They have a tiny selection of English books, and I either read them or have no interest in those books. So I for me, cannot use the local library. But if you can, please do. Get to the library and get the books you want to read. I use it for the kid, like I said, and it's amazing. So that's one thing. The other thing, I like getting used books, and I also do pay for Kindle Unlimited. I know Amazon is one of those things where you kind of don't want to support them, but on the other hand, Kindle Unlimited is so wonderful for someone who reads a lot, because it costs 10 euros a month and I can read and also listen to as many books as I want. Now, that is a lot of money that you can save if you use a service like that. You can also go for Audible, but Audible also belongs to Amazon, so what's the point? And we do have other audiobook services here, but some of them, you don't get enough for what you pay. For someone who consumes a lot of books, it's just not feasible, There are also a lot of audiobooks on Spotify. You just have to search them out. There's lots and lots and lots of full-length audiobooks on Spotify if you have an account where you pay for. And I'm pretty sure that you can find some that are on there for free as well. There's a lot of audiobooks on YouTube that have been recorded by normal people like you and me. So look on there, and I think there's an app called Libby, but that is not something we have here, so I don't know anything about it. I just hear it from other people, that they use it. And just do what feels right for you. I have been falling into that. I've seen this book on YouTube and BookTube videos for the last 3 months, 100 times. I need to buy it and read it too. And that's just not true. You don't have to buy anything. And I know that it is hard to not do it when you keep seeing it over and over and over, and that's kind of the cool shit right now, and everyone's reading it and you want to be a part of that somehow. But the truth is, for me, I do get burned out like that. I had the same with knitting when I was trying to knit all the things that everyone was making right now. And once I stopped doing that and just knit what I really wanted to have and what I wanted to knit and work on, my mindset changed. And I'm doing the same with books right now. I still am reading some of the super hyped books, but not as many. And I'm consciously trying to read books I already have because I have a lot of them, and just not try to get pressured in any way. Just go with the flow, do whatever feels right for you. And it's not a competition. That's also something. I mean, this video is about how I manage to read a lot and how I incorporate books into my life. But not everyone's life is the same. And if you can read 2 books a year, and that is what you manage to do, that is great. It's 2 books that you have read. It's 2 more than nothing. It's just how am I going to say that? So I watch a lot of booktube videos because I just enjoy them. But when the end of year wrap up happens and they were like, oh, I only read 350 books this year instead of my 420 that are normal, I always feel like I'm such a loser, because how can you achieve that number? And there's so many of them who read that much stuff. But realistically, for me, I have had the best reading year ever with 72 books up until now. And that is a number that is extremely high for a lot of people, So I stopped just comparing myself to these people. Hype up that number and get it higher and higher and higher, because I could if I wanted to. But I also want to consciously consume my books. So yeah, I love books. I love books so much. They have been my first love and they're still here. I'm also really trying to read a bit more nonfiction, and have been very good on that this year. So yeah. It's just, this is a very long story that boils down to do what feels right for you. Don't get pressured by booktube or book talk or bookstagram or any other bookish stuff, and just read a book. Do it. It feels good. It is so good for you and for me. And yeah, I'm gonna stop this video now because I feel like I'm rambling around the same topic over and over. So, moral of the story, I am going to try and incorporate reading a bit more again into my life by doing a designated reading hour in the evening before I go to bed, and by trying to do a half an hour in the morning as well. And I'm just gonna give it a go, and hopefully I will find back out of this reading slump into a life where I am thinking about books all the time. So that's it for me. I hope you all have a wonderful time. Happy reading, and until next time.